Welcome to our daily podcast. Our focus has been on the farming system for the past few days, and today we are just going to be moving further and deeper into the discussion concerning the farming system. For those that have listened to our past three editions, by now you would have understood very well when we talk about the farming system, when we talk about the input, when we talk about optimization of resources, when we talk about output, and when we talk about the types of farming system that exist, or categories that farming operations are categorized into. Today we will be talking about the environment, the farming environment. Hence the topic is tagged today, Understanding My Environment and its relationship to my farming operation. So without wasting time, we want to start by asking us the question, or as we think about it, what's an environment? What's an environment? An environment, as we are aware, talks about the surrounding or condition in which a person, an animal, or a plant lives or operates. So when we talk about an environment, we are talking about a condition, physical or non-physical, or we are talking about surroundings, which is physical. So everything that is available within that environment, within that geographical location, constitutes the constituents of the environment. Now, in the case of a farm, what is a farming environment? A farming environment are all the activities, assets, and liability that relates within themselves and interacts with themselves in the course of the farming operation, in the course of the farm achieving its set goal. If you take your mind back, in one of our earlier podcasts, we talked about the things that interact with themselves. I remember we talked about the land, we talked about the seed. Now we even talked about the building. These are things that are within the environment. There is need for us to know that consciously or unconsciously, a change in the state of one of the factors that interact with itself will have an impact on the farming outcome. For example, you are most likely going to ask yourself, what relationship has a farmhouse with a crop production? But you see, having a farmhouse that gives a shade for rest, if it is taken off the farm, it will affect the capacity of the workers, which in turn would tell on the quality of work and service that they render to the farming process. The soil, the impact of erosion on the soil will affect the quality of the soil and ultimately will affect the yield in the farm. The state of mind of the workforce, a workforce that is nowhere treated, an unbalanced emotional person in your work team, it will affect, no matter how insignificant it looks, they all have influence. So we need to have that at the back of our mind, that every activity, every asset, every liability that exists in our farming environment, they have an impact on the farming outcome. So the question we should be asking ourselves is, what is the size of the impact they have? One. Then two, what kind of impact do they have? Are they positive or are they negative? We need to always remember that we owe it as managers of a farming business to ensure that we reduce every negative impact to the barest minimum, and we increase every impact that has a positive nature on our farming business. Common factors that we are most likely going to find in our farming ecosystem is, just like I said earlier on, is going to be land. We are going to have buildings, we are going to have equipment, we are going to have fertilization processes, we are going to have harvesting, handling, we are going to have storages, we are going to have conversion of one process to another process. Then another thing I really want us to take note of is that there are some assets that we have within our farming environment that we don't give attention to. For example, you have somebody whose farm has a running water that runs through it. It's a big asset, but most of the time people don't give it such attention. Some people are privileged to have a very rich soil, but you don't treat the soil with that intent that, oh wow, this soil is very rich. So you just go with the Joneses, just plant what every other person is planting. So at the end of the day, most of these people who have this very rich soil, they don't make the most of it. As we begin to wind up today's podcast, the question we need to be asking ourselves is, how can we manage our farming environment? How can we make the most of our farming environment? We have three things here which we will just hit on. The first one is you need to carry out a physical assessment of all available resources within your farming operation. If you don't make a conscious effort to ask yourself, what are my assets here? You may overlook some assets. There are some assets that can be converted into a positive use within the farming operation. What do I have? Okay, go through the stuff. What do I have? What kind of soil do I have? What is the quality of the manpower that I have? What kind of experience is the manpower that I have? My new staff that I'm employing? What am I bringing into the process? Okay, this new funds that is available for the business, this profit, retained profit we had for last year, what can we do with it? You need to consciously make a list of your resources available. Then the next thing you need to carry out an assessment and impact analysis. What are the advantages that this assets that have listed they have? These liabilities that have listed, what are the disadvantages? How can I make the most of these assets, and how can I manage the consequences of these liabilities that I have noticed as what constitutes part of my farming environment? Okay, I have noticed that a huge part of the land that I have is very slopey, and as such I need to consciously change the way I am laying my beds to ensure that we control the kind of ridge. I've noticed that the topography of the farming structure is such a way that we have a hill and we have a valley that can collect water. Can't I make a rain harvester and store water? So many questions you need to ask yourself. There are a lot of options that we can do, but the most important thing is if you don't consciously go about it, you will overlook it. I can tell you that again and again. Finally, design an operating model that is based on the findings that you have discovered. Because you have consciously carried out an assessment, you are going to carry out an analysis, you can come up with you can create a model. Okay, because this is how this is, we are doing a farm mapping. These are the kind of crop we can plant in this kind of place. These are the kind of crop. Now, these are the kind of machines we can dispatch here. In this area, we can't dispatch machines. We need to deal with it manually. Those are the questions. Then finally, discipline yourself by sticking with the model. If you don't run your model, you will not know whether it has the capacity to be successful or to the level of successful. The level of results that success can give is only when you run it to the end you can have a proper audit and a proper result. Thank you very much for joining us once again. We look forward to having you stay with us. Tomorrow we will be discussing something very vital. We'll be looking at the act of wastages. So whatever you are, whatever you do, I want to encourage you, keep a date with us. Thank you. For further inquiries on our products and how we can help you grow your agribusiness enterprise, kindly visit www.justoneplot.com. Thank you.